Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Home Built Workshop. Welcome to Wednesday Live. I hope all of you are having an awesome day as we settle in here. Man, you guys, right? Look at this. You guys beat me. You got the conversation started already. Started the party without me. That's awesome. Sam's here. Sam says hello. Drissy Guitars is here. What's going on? Paul says hello, everyone. Hope your week is going well. Robert says howdy, folks. Hope all are well, safe, and healthy. Hey, dude, what's up? How are we all? Right on, right on. And Michael says good morning. Just wondering what steps I should take to start acoustic guitar business up. Got the building guitars part down, but don't know the next steps in the building process. Wow. We're going to get to that in just a second. I'll see if I can offer any sort of information. But I want to say hi. Good morning. How's everybody doing? That's so cool. You guys are all here early. It was kind of weird when I first started this up. I scheduled the live stream and just a few minutes ago uploaded the thumbnail, and then like everything went blank on the screen. It just whoa. And I thought it was gone. But it's not. And you guys are here. And thank you. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. So let's see. Since we're jumping right in with questions, let's see what we can do to try to help Michael out here. Got the building guitars part down. I want to figure out how to turn that into a business. Well, why does it look so dark? Why? I mean, I'm gonna move this light or something. Something looks weird. It still looks dark. Maybe my eyes are going out. Anyway, let's see, Michael. So you've got like I said, you've got the guitar building down and trying to figure out how to turn it into a business. I think the first thing I would say is go slow, right? Like have a plan of some sort of business plan. They always say, do a business plan. I think since you have the guitar building part down, really the hardest part is selling those guitars, to be completely honest. And that's something that I have run into. It's easy to build a guitar, easy, right? With air quotes. But selling the guitar is the hard part. So you need to figure out where you're going to market these and who you're going to market them to. I think that's going to be the challenge. And that's something that, I or really anybody can't necessarily, we can't identify that particular thing because that's going to depend on how you operate your business. But that, from my experience, that is the harder part, honestly. Much harder than building the guitars is how are you going to sell them? How are people going to find out about you? What's your plan moving forward? And that's where you need to probably focus a lot of your efforts on. I hope that makes sense. There's not a cut and dry answer because, everybody's got different ideas, different plans, different goals and aspirations. It's just not something that I can say you have to do this and this and this and this, and then you're going to be fine. But I would, definitely plan on it being a slow ramp, as I think a lot of ventures like that are. But the more planning you do up front, I think the better off you'll be down the road. I know it's not really maybe the answer you were hoping, but because I don't even have that answer myself. You just gotta do your homework, I guess. And I don't like homework. Heritage says, Michael, get used to spending half your time actually building and the other half running the business. Yes, that's absolutely right. Like I said, building the guitar, excuse me, is the easy part. Even if it's an acoustic. It's, getting the instrument done, something. Getting the instrument together is, that's not that big a deal. Trying to sell it, that's a little different. Are you going to do stock builds? Just build basically what you want and then try to sell that completed instrument? Or are you going to do commissions and only build commissions? I've done both, but the majority of the ones that I build are just because that's what I want to build. but not everybody wants to operate a business that way, and that's totally fine. Just some things that you need to think about. Robert says, Michael, best of luck. I hope it works out, but I've never owned any kind of business. Dastardly Dave is here. Dave says, sup all. What's up, Dave? How are you doing this morning? Michael says, yeah, I'm just trying to do something I love, not work for the man any longer. Also, I know quite a few custom builders, but also I don't know any of them that don't do something on the side, and that could even be just doing repairs. One of my friends lives here in town, and he builds awesome acoustic guitars, but I would say probably, I don't know the number actually, a good chunk of his time is doing customer repairs, just repairing instruments. And a lot of times that sort of a thing leads to commission work that he does. He'll do full builds as commissions and stuff like that. But I would say, at least starting out, have something else that, so you're not just relying on selling a guitar so that you can eat dinner. You almost have to have something else, at least at first. I'm not saying, it's impossible to just build guitars, because it is. It's just not easy. Corey's here. Corey says, what up? What up, Corey? Tony says, morning, sunshine. Good morning, Tony. How are you doing this fine Wednesday morning? Sam says, I always miss the first minute of the streams due to the unskippable ads. I know, Sam. I'm sorry about that. Paul says, to Michael, get yourself an LLC, get a web presence, go to shows, stores, etc. to get people aware. Yes, Paul, excellent advice, and something that I probably should have mentioned. Yes, and forming a business of some sort, an LLC. There's some legal advantages to having everything run through an LLC, and if you really are wanting to go this route, I would definitely recommend that myself. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a tax person, but yes. That brings up something else too. Think about those sorts of things, right? Think about having people in your corner that you can build a team around you. There you go. A tax person, accountant, or CPA. That's it. To handle things like taxes and all that sort of stuff, because there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that's not just building instruments. You gotta file taxes in the proper manner. You gotta keep track of expenses and stuff like that, and it's a fair bit of work. I actually just spent half of Monday probably, just getting things caught up paperwork wise, receipts and transactions and all that stuff, and that part honestly, it sucks. I don't like it at all. But I try to take, the beginning of every week and, just make sure that everything's good. This last week took me a little bit longer because I'd kind of slacked and got a little bit behind on some of my spreadsheets and things. But, I try to take, the beginning of Monday and just get everything caught up. There's a lot of paperwork where I'm not out here cutting wood and making sawdust and doing the cool stuff. A lot of things behind the scenes. So I would recommend get a team around you. But a website, go to shows, all that stuff. Excellent advice. It's something that I've done as well. There's not a ton of shows around here, but I try to get to the shows. I try to work with local music shops. Unfortunately, right now I don't have one that I'm working with, but there's been several here locally that I've had instruments in, and we've tried to do a thing. But just getting the word out there. Robert says, if there's a music store that sells instruments, you might check with them to see if you could sell your guitars through them. Yes, that's a good idea. Yep, something that I need to try to work with some local shops and try to get something else set up. It seems like a year, 2 years ago, we had a local music store that set up it was actually super cool, set up a whole local builders section where they had basically a whole wall of all locally built instruments, and it was awesome. It was a great place to be able to put your instrument in there. They charged I don't remember, but a certain percentage, which was extremely reasonable, I felt, where you could basically consign your instrument, for for a fairly low percentage compared to what I've heard other places do. But unfortunately, they've kind of shifted um, they've changed their plans and have moved more to like teaching and stuff. So they don't do that anymore. But I really felt that was a good idea. Paul says, I've been building for about 12 years. Business really took off after I sent a demo to Daryl Braun. Been fairly good business since then, I'm gonna guess. Yes. Yeah, that was awesome, Paul. I remember watching that video when he was demoing your guitar, and that was super cool. That's something that I've been thinking about, sending one to someone and just see what happens. Robert says, might do an online store. Yes, I absolutely recommend having a website where you can have your instruments there. I've got some updates to do on my website. I've got to get the bass guitar up there, and actually I don't even have the one I built earlier this spring for the guitar show listed, so I got to get that up there. I'm a little behind on that. Corey says, make sure to have a business license first, then watch the market for whatever product you want to sell. Yep. And Michael says, thanks. I appreciate the answers. Yeah, Michael, and I want to encourage you to go for it. If this is something that you want to do, definitely give it a shot, man. It's, do it. Just be reasonable, I guess, in your expectations. Don't quit your job today and expect to be selling a ton of guitars tomorrow. It's going to take a little more time than that, and I'm sure you're aware of that. But I don't want to discourage you from giving it a shot. It's definitely doable. Paul says, I build parts, bodies and necks, stock builds for consignment, and a ton of customer request builds. Prepare yourself; those can get real fun. Yes. And part of the reason I don't do a lot of consignments, really, I've done a couple maybe. I haven't done too many, because there's a different pressure as the builder when you're working with someone else's money, right? You've taken the deposit or whatever down payment, and you've given them you've agreed to whatever their things are. There's just, I don't know. I don't like that particular pressure of working with someone else's money. Sometimes it's something you got to do, right? And it may be the best route for you to go. Again, not trying to discourage you from going that route. It's just from my experience, and I'm sure Paul can vouch for me on this one. When you sit down with a customer and they say, I want this color, this finish, this whatever, I don't know why, but there's a whole different pressure that I feel in those kinds of situations. So if I'm just building something because I think it'd make a cool guitar, it's way different. It's, for me, I feel a lot more free, and I don't feel that kind of pressure. Yeah, I don't know. Just throwing that out there. My 2 cents. Dastardly Dave says, starting a left-hand build to give to a friend who just officially retired. Yes! Way to go, Dave. Right on. That's how you do it. You just gotta build the lefties. You do. I've mentioned it before. I've talked to quite a few builders, luthiers, whatever title you want to put on it, who build amazing instruments. And you would be surprised how many said, nope, not building a lefty. It's too weird. Like, what's weird about you? It's literally mirror everything. You mirror everything. My very first acoustic that I built, I worked off plans for a righty and flipped everything and built a lefty. And it's crazy how many people just say, nope, not doing it, like flat out. So way to go, Dave. Yes. Paul says, I teach building in my shop and do some customer repair. Yeah. Yep. See, there's you almost have to have something else. I mean, it could be teaching, repairs, maybe your day job, even whatever that might be. At least at first, while you're building up your business. Paul says to Dave, cool beans, but he's probably already saddened by the retirement thing, and you're giving him a lefty. Oh man. I gotta sit with that a minute, Paul. Thank you for that. Hold on. I gotta wrap my head around that whole thing. Poor lefties. We don't have a. I tell you. Paul. Somebody actually, I think it was on here. I talked recently about, like, that's part of the reason that I really got into building guitars was because I'm a lefty and we don't have the options. So you have to build your own. And now someone's trying to help out a fellow lefty. And you're taking the joy. I'm just kidding. I'm just giving you a hard time. Sam says, did you get any UK Cadburys from that store? Not yet, Sam. We are planning to make a trip into town. See, for me, I don't live exactly in town. So for getting into town, I almost have to plan like a trip. It's not really a trip, but I mean, it's more than a 20-minute drive for me. It's, but we're making a plan to get over to that side of town, and we will get them. We will get them. Don't you worry. Corey says, to Michael, make sure you know what your overhead is. You want to start, and you have to figure out if you want to hire extra employees. Paul says, I do my own books and taxes. That's another good option too. I don't enjoy that tax part. When I was just filing, when I worked in town, the corporate gig, it was just, you get your W-2 or whatever, and you could file your taxes. But now that there's expenses and all this and deductions and this and that, I don't mess with it. I will gladly write that check and have my CPA take care of it. It is well worth the expense. I do keep the books. I keep everything up to date, with all that. But when it comes time to file things, I just send it over there, and I don't have time for that. But if you do, and you like that sort of thing, that's more power to you. You don't have to pay somebody else. But it is nice to have someone to call, though, if you have questions about something. It is a big help. Dave says, actually, Paul, he's a lawyer musician. Now he's just a musician. He will be far from sad. Yeah, Dave, Paul just likes to give us lefties a hard time. It's all good. I can take it. What do they say? I got broad shoulders. I can take it. I'm used to it. Playing in a band as a lefty. If you've never been razzed for being a lefty, and when you play in a band of righties, then have you really played in a band? Oh, I used to get a lot of that, I'll tell you. Paul says, wish him well and great job on the gift. Right on. Dave says, thanks, and he's a good friend. Corey says, and I know how to start a business from the ground up. Right on, Corey. Yeah, thanks for the tips, everyone. Hopefully, there's some help in there for Michael, or some ideas and that sort of thing. Robert says, if there are any tech schools in your area to check out, some small business classes to get familiar with the business side of things, also not a bad idea. Learn as much as you can. And Jimmer's here. Jim says, work sucks. I don't recommend it. Should have stayed a kid. If only that was an option, my friend. Yes, I second that. And Highline Guitars is here. What's up? Highline Guitars, Chris, how's it going? Highline says, I quit custom commissions because people are loony in their desires. Yes, that's what I'm saying. So, yeah. Thankfully, I haven't taken one that was absolutely outrageous. But I've heard stories, and I don't know what it is. They just have unrealistic expectations. Um, I don't know what it is. For me, it's more of I don't the like I mentioned, the pressure. There's a different pressure that I don't like when you're building like that for somebody else with a certain criteria. I like to. I don't know. I just don't enjoy that. Does that mean if someone comes to me with a certain commission that I won't take it? No. As long as I feel that it's not unrealistic and it meets my criteria, I guess I would do it. But if I don't have to do it, I much prefer the just building what I want to build. Sometimes it's harder to sell them that way. So you know what I mean? I don't know. Paul says, currently working on 4 guitars for one customer for almost 2 months. Still not in the building process yet as he keeps changing things. Oh, boy. Corey says, make sure you keep up your business license every year and make sure you have enough money to cover your business license and your business spending the money. Yes. Yeah. I mean, that a lot of that may just seem like basic bookkeeping, and, you got to manage your income and expenses. And, if you do file or form an LLC, you got to renew that every year. And, just different things that you got to keep that up. And Jimmer says, retirement, what's that? I don't know, man. I don't know. And Paul says, I've built 5 lefties this year alone. They're all by request. I've done lefties before, and they sit. Yeah, with the stock ones. I totally get that. And that's why I don't, if I'm building a lefty, almost 99% of the time, it's for me. I have one lefty that I built that I would sell right now, but I didn't intentionally build it as a lefty. That was one of those deals. I think I've talked about it before. Being a lefty, building righties, sometimes my brain messes with me. And this lefty that I have, I really like it, but it wasn't supposed to be a lefty. I started when I was building it. I laid my template on there, and I laid it on as a lefty because, I don't know, I just was in the zone and cruising along, and my brain didn't recognize that it was wrong because it was a lefty. Everything looked correct, and I started drilling like a, I don't know, pickup cavity or something before I cut it to shape. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but I started drilling, and it was in the wrong spot. And so I ended up, in order to be able to complete it, had to make it as a lefty. But I really like that instrument. But yeah, that's the only one I have in it. I've had it for quite a while. Time Surfing Alien says, good morning, everyone. Well, good morning, Time Surfing Alien. How are you this fine Wednesday? Sam says, taking a trip anywhere is a pain, especially when you have to get back up. Yeah, you take a trip, fall down in the ground. Oh boy, Henry's here. Henry says, morning. I don't even know how to do my taxes. I've always used a CPA, worth every penny. Absolutely, Henry, 100%. Like I mentioned, I used to do my own when it was just a W-2 and you did the easy form or whatever when you filed the taxes. And as soon as it got more complicated than that, nope, I don't chance it. I've had a CPA do my taxes for a very long time, and they're awesome. So absolutely worth it. Robert says, same here, Jeff. I live in a very small town that has not stores of any kind, so I make a shopping trip once a week. Drive 20 miles plus one way. Yeah, it's very similar, Robert, to where I'm at. We do have a grocery store, regular grocery store, very close here, actually. But other than that, if you gotta, if I need to go to Woodcraft or lumber stores of any type, I mean, it's a, I don't know, I'm gonna be gone for a couple hours. By the time I drive into town, do the thing, drive back, yeah, it. I guess if there's any downside to living in a rural area, which I would much rather live in a rural area. I would take that over a city any day. But that would be the downside, right? Sometimes if you need something in a hurry, you can't always get things in a hurry, and that's why I try to plan. Try to plan ahead. And actually, that's going to bring us. I'm going to get back to the comments here, but that's going to bring us into what's going on here in the shop, because I didn't get to that yet. So I'm gonna tell you. Let's talk about that for a minute, and then I'll get back to the comments. So did you know last week I finished up the bass guitar? I finished up both of them. There's one little piece I'm waiting to be delivered. Just some string trees that I want to experiment with, but they're basically done. I've been playing the heck out of the lefty, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm really happy with those. So as far as those go, once I get these string trees, I want to get these in the hands of a few local bass players just to test them out, get some more feedback, like I had mentioned. But basically, they're done. They're not in the shop. I'm not actively working on them anymore. But that's given me a really good chance to kind of go back and start planning future projects. Talking about, I don't know how this brought me to this thought, but somehow my brain ties it in, right? So planning ahead, because I live in a rural area. I don't know why I can't say that today. I got a plan. If I need parts for something, I got to order all that. And that's really what I've done over the last 4 or 5 days. Aside from getting the shop cleaned up, I've been ordering parts for different projects. There's several things since I've been focusing on these bass guitars. I'm pointing at them like they're sitting here, but they're not. There's been other things that I haven't gotten done. So I got some vehicle maintenance I got to get done. I've got some, a few other projects that I needed to order some bits for. So right now I'm waiting for, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 different things to come and be delivered through the mail, because I can't just go to the store and get these parts. So I have to order all this stuff ahead of time. Meanwhile, my list of projects now that I'm going to be tackling is growing, but that helps me, again, have time to order parts in. I don't know where I'm going with this whole thing now. But anyway, I've got 4 or 5 projects that I need to get done. I'm waiting for things to be delivered, and we're going to be jumping into some new stuff. Non-guitar building projects here for a few weeks, I believe. I did one yesterday. I'm working on editing that video today. So yeah, it's kind of nice actually being at the step where I've got these guitars done, and now I can actually focus on getting a few other projects done before I decide what the next guitar project's going to be. Meanwhile, if you've got any suggestions or some sort of guitar project that you'd like to see, I've got several rolling around in my brain that I'd like to tackle, but I haven't fully decided yet what the next build is going to be. I don't know. I'd love to hear from all of you. Is there something you'd like me to tackle? Something you'd like to see as far as, well, normal projects, as well as what's the next guitar build going to be? I don't know yet. Jumping back to comments here. Paul says, I have the utmost respect for lefties. It must be really hard to play in a band. You have to learn to play the song backwards so it comes out correctly in the audience. Yeah, it's, Paul, it's a struggle, my friend. Corey says, they do make left-handed baseball bat for all the lefties out there. Oops. Too early? Oops. Oh, Corey, I love it. See, I welcome the lefty jokes to an extent. I'm okay with it. I really am. Lefties. Sam says, if you're a lefty, visit the UK and hire a vehicle. You drive on the left, but sit on the right inside of the vehicle. Sam, I've thought about that. And I don't think, I don't know. I think it would be definitely interesting. So the thing that I can't wrap my head around, and I don't know how many vehicles in the UK are a stick shift, right? But I envision sitting on the right side and shifting with your left hand. It just seems weird. I learned to drive stick, driving on the left side and shifting with your right. But I think that's what's weird is you shift with your left. But what I don't know, what side is the gas pedal on? Is the gas pedal, do you run the gas pedal with your left foot or do you still run it with your right foot? That's something I don't really know. I'm trying to wrap my head around if the pedals were switched, would you be using the right foot for the clutch? That would be the weirdest thing, I think. Maybe they don't even make stick shift over there anymore. I don't know, but I know you don't see them too much here anymore, and that's kind of sad. Let's see. Robert says, the Jimmer retirement is having the ability to say, no, I don't think I'll be doing any work today or tomorrow or the next day, and so on and so forth. Time Surfing Alien says, sister was a CPA, always had good tax advice. Yes. Yes, a CPA is totally worth, in my opinion, to have that a person on your side that can not only file all the confusing papers for you, but to answer questions, yes, and just get advice. And look who's here. Gina's here. Right on. Gina says, hello all. Good morning. How's your day going? Hopefully it's going very good. Coffee cheers, everyone. I didn't give anybody a cheers earlier. We jumped right into the questions. And that's okay. Hair Dude says, I live in a capital city and I still have to get everything delivered. Yeah, see, I mean, there's still stuff that you just got to order. Yeah, I try to have everything on hand for a project. Even these bases, there was a couple things at the last minute that I realized that I was overlooked and, just got to order stuff in. But even with the next 4 or 5 projects that I'm planning out right now, and getting parts ordered. Well, one of them I mentioned was my diesel heater. I just got the parts yesterday to tear that apart and rebuild or clean it out or whatever it is you need to do. But yeah, just try to plan ahead and order things. And it just doesn't always work. Time Surfing Alien says, I'm so far out in the sticks, I'm just happy anything gets delivered at all. Yeah, so far out in the sticks, that sounds amazing to me. We don't have as many sticks out here. I wish there was more sticks, but yeah, I love the rural life. Paul says, how about a 12-string build? That would be cool. It would be. That would be cool. There is have you guys seen those 8-string baritones acoustics? It's a 6-string, but the two, the D and the G, those two are in pairs, like a 12-string, and it's a baritone length, 27-inch scale length. There's something about those that I really like, and I want to build one of those. I've mentioned it a few times. 8-string baritone. I think that might be the next acoustic build when I decide to do an acoustic, or at least very close to the next one. And there's a couple reasons that I would like to try that. One, because a baritone just has a super cool sound, but also because of the 12-string aspect, Paul, like you mentioned. My uncle, my late uncle, was a guitar player ever since since long before I was even around. Played a lot, and he always played a 12-string. And growing up, I always heard him playing his 12-string. He played him for like summer camps and things, and just always had this 12-string. And I grew to really love this sound. But that same uncle was also the one who taught me my first couple of chords on a guitar. In fact, he gave me my first acoustic guitar, which is an old German-made classical guitar. I don't imagine it's anything of high quality or anything like that. I don't even know the brand because the logo's gone off the headstock. I can see a faint silhouette of something used to be there, but I have no idea what it even used to say. And then inside there was like a stamp. There's not even a paper label. There was like a rubber stamp kind of thing, and I believe it said something about made in Germany, 1967 or something like that. I think it was 1967. But he gave me this classical, and that's what I learned to play on, was just this classical. Not playing classical finger style necessarily, but just doing cowboy chords basically on this thing just to learn how to play. I still have that guitar, but all that to say, because of him and always playing the 12 string, I've always had a sweet spot for a 12 string. And there's something about this baritone that is intriguing enough, and it still gives that 12 string jangle, if you know what I'm talking about, that makes me want to build this 8 string baritone. So that's something that's been on my radar for quite some time. I actually ordered a complete mahogany set, back, sides, and mahogany top. I've got that set that I bought a year ago, maybe, with the intent of building an all mahogany 8 string baritone. I don't know. Could it be on the horizon? Maybe, maybe not. But that's what I'm thinking about. But I do, Paul, I love the sound of a 12 string. And and again, going back to the lefty thing, I'm sure somebody makes them, but I have not seen a quality left-handed 12 string. Somebody I'm sure has them. That's another reason you gotta just build your own. So I'm with you, Paul. Sam says, would it be cheaper on gas to just move into the store? It would. But I don't think the store would appreciate that. Jimmer says, a Jeep build. Something I've actually been thinking about is some sort of, we've kind of been talking about this. It's going to be, my daughter's only, I don't know, a handful of years or less away from the driving age. So I have thought about finding some kind of car and going through it with her and fixing it up some. I don't know. And I've thought about a Jeep, getting her a Jeep, but I don't know. But I have thought about something along those lines, just getting something. We go through it over the next, I don't know, couple years or whatever, get it into, excellent shape, and just kind of doing a build out that way. I think that'd be fun. I just don't know what to get. He says a rifle build. a stock? Build a stock? Be kind of cool. Time Serpent says, easy to sit in front of someone and copy, though. Are you talking about learning, playing guitar? I have found that is absolutely true. If that's what you're talking about, that's what I'm reading that as. Being a left-handed player, if you're sitting with a righty, it's so easy to just sit and you're mirroring. You're doing exactly what they're doing, and yeah. Gina says, I learned how to drive stick in Japan. Can't do it here well. Well, that's because we don't have anything that we don't have a standard. We need one. I miss driving standard. Jimmer says pedals are the same. Oh, okay, because that would be so weird. Time Surfing says drove in Malaysia, right-hand drive. Kind of weird. Pedals were in the same place, if I remember correctly. Interesting. Henry says, my girlfriend drives stick. World's best anti-theft nowadays. Yeah, I can imagine. Because there's not as many vehicles, for one, and most people, I don't know why they want an automatic. I remember back in my day, it seemed like if you got the automatic version of whatever vehicle it is, it was more high-end, right? It was more expensive or whatever. Now it seems like if you get the manual version, it's more expensive, which doesn't make any sense. Jimmer says, retirement sounds great. How do I apply for that job? Yes, I don't know. I don't know how, but you figure it out. Let me know. And Beth is here. Beth says, hey, hey. What's up, Beth? Good morning. A coffee cheers to you. Sam says we call stick shift manual drive, and the pedals are clutch on the left, brake in the middle. Okay, so it's the same. Yeah, it's the same as ours. Paul says, I tend to keep extra supplies on hand since I build stock guitars for sale. Gets kind of iffy with finances trying to keep supplies when sales slow down. Yes. Yes. You know, and I keep I keep stuff on hand as well. You know, jacks and pots and that sort of thing, you know, stuff that I know I'm going to use. You know, a few neck plates and different things. But while it would be awesome to have, you know, just a wall full of everything, you know, I only try to keep what I know I'm going to use. Yeah, you know, like if I'm ordering stuff for a project, I might order an extra. If I'm ordering knobs and, you know, different things, I might order an extra set of knobs or an extra, you know, jack plate or two. That way, you know, I've got them. But yeah, try to keep things on hand. Paul says, build a left acoustic. That'd be cool. Already looking up jokes. Oh no. Harry Dude says, build a shredder. 24 stainless steel frets, Floyd Rose, high gain pickups, metal. Yeah. You know, that would be cool. Does it have to be super pointy though? You know, you know what? Where is that? I say that sort of jokingly, but not. I don't know where it is. I forget what it's called now. So back in 2003 or 4, I think they only made them for a few years. Man, I wish I knew where that template was. Ibanez built this guitar, and I cannot remember exactly what it was called. It was you know, kind of a pointy sort of, I don't know, not quite Explorer type pointy, but sort of similar. Man, I can't remember the name. I wish I could, because you'd be able to look it up. But the body was very small. It was a very, you know how like Explorers and stuff, like the bodies are giant, or even like a V, you know, the bodies are super long, which I personally never liked because it's just too big. But this particular model, and I know Ibanez made it, 2003, 4. I think they might have only made it for a couple years. It was very small and pointy, and I've never really been, you know, much for those, you know, the pointy, zigzaggy kind of looking guitars. But because of the body size of this guitar, I saw it in a local music store back in like 2003. And I picked it up, and of course, it was a righty. You know, there's no lefties available. But I remember playing this thing a little bit, and I'm like, this is kind of cool. And I think, you know, a lot of that was due to the fact that the body was very small, and I just really liked it. Well, many years after that, but many years ago still, I thought about that guitar again, and I found a picture and kind of scaled it to where it was, you know, proportionately the same. And I made a template for it because for some reason I wanted a lefty version of this guitar. I came across that template that I made years and years ago before I'd ever built a guitar. And part of me thinks that I should build it. And it would be, you know, shredder type, Floyd Rose, you know, all that stuff. I don't play a whole lot of that, you know, I'm not a shredder. Let's just say I'm, you know, I'm solo-y, you know, I that's just not me. I like it. I just can't play it. But I've thought about building a replica of that, which might be kind of cool. For no other reason than I've always wanted one of those. Robert says, one thing about living in the boonies is when you do have things delivered to your home, there's less risk of things getting stolen by porch pirates. Yes, absolutely. Paul says, I built a metal guitar for the 2022 GGBO. Still have it. Can't sell it for the world. And Kirk, 9181 says, after watching a few of your videos, you've definitely inspired me to start my first guitar build. Love the work you do. Thumbs up. Kirk, thank you. And you can do it. You got this. Don't let any step of the process sway you from completing it. You can do it. It may seem overwhelming. Break it down into step by step. It's not. You absolutely can do this. If you have any questions along the way, let me know. I got your back. You can do it, and it's going to be awesome. When you string up and play your first guitar, even if you look at it, right? I'm not saying it's going to, but even if you look at it and go, yeah, it doesn't look all that great. You play that sucker, and you know you built it. It is so satisfying. You can do it. That's awesome. Know Your Joe's here. Says, good day, everyone. What's up, Know Your Joe? How are you doing this morning? Time Surfing Alien says, convert an old bug to electric. I mean, that's an option. Not my first option, but Jim says Monte Carlo built. Now, there you go. I like that one. Yes, that would be sweet. Dallo's here. Dallo says, good Wednesday. What's up, Dallo? How are you doing? How's your build going along? Sam says, anyone planning on cooking in Japan, don't forget to take your pan. I don't get it. Gina gives the I don't know what. I guess I'm behind. I missed something on there. Robert says, both my car and pickup have standard transmissions. I prefer them also, but it's next to impossible to find a vehicle that has a standard. Yes, it is. I don't understand why. Sam, come in with the super chats towards coffee. Thank you, Sam. Keeping that coffee mug filled. Don't worry. We're going to get to that store one of these days, Sam. Don't worry. Know Your Joe says, Ibanez Destroyer. No. It's the Xiphos. Ibanez Xiphos. I don't know why I just thought of that, but it's not the Destroyer. XYFOS, I believe it is. Look it up. Everybody look it up right now. Not the Destroyer. But I know what you're thinking about. Thank you. I don't know why that did sparked the name, the Xiphos. I heard it says was thinking of Destroyer. Yeah, no, it's the Xiphos. There's something about it that I kind of like. Sam says to deal with porch pirates, just package all the junk mail address it with a made-up address, and leave it outside. Free. That's a good way to get rid of your junk. Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. So no one would take my junk and it'd just be sitting there. And then the raccoons would get into it and spread it all over the yard, and then I'd really have a mess. Yeah, I got raccoons I'm trying to get rid of them. Michael says, anyone know any places to get abalone for a reasonable price? Sorry, it scrolled. All I could find is kind of expensive, but love using it. I do not personally have any recommendation at the moment. But maybe if you guys know a good place for abalone. I know I've heard of some. I just can't think of the names off the top of my head. I know I've heard Eric Schaefer talk about where he gets his abalone from. I don't know. I can't remember the name. So, Paul says, my only vehicle has a clutch and a shift. Can't get a Harley in automatic. That'd be kind of weird. Robert says, finding a good, solid Monte Carlo to do a build with would be the difficult part. Yes, and one that's not been hacked up with hydraulics and all that stuff would be the other challenge, because it seems like when I find one now, it's been modified with hydraulics and airbags and all kinds of crazy modifications have been done to it. And I know even though the two that I've had, like the frames rot out behind the rear wheels really bad. Yeah, so trying to find one solid. I think if there's any place to find one, it is in this area, or in Colorado, or what is this? I don't know what you'd call this, the West. It's not the Midwest or whatever it is, because things don't seem to rot out here. So this would be the place to find one if I can find one. Paul says, back in the 80s, I used to put trash into a box, put it in the back of my truck. Had to park in downtown Dallas, and it always got stolen from the truck. That's funny. Good way to get rid of your stuff. I don't know. Know Your Joe says, Xiphos looks cool. Yeah, see, I don't know what it is. There's something about it that I just kind of like. But the main thing that I remember about it when I think of it is I remember picking it up in the music store, one, because it was just kind of different looking. But when I sat down and felt how small the body actually is, I just thought that was really cool. And I really enjoyed sitting there. Even though I'm playing it upside down, it didn't feel all that weird. And I really liked it. And it's always been stuck in my head. Not because, I don't know, I don't play super pointy guitars like that. And there's not a whole lot of them that I'm a huge fan of. That one I like. And I might have to make it one of these days. Hair Dude says, gave up on manual transmissions when I had a driving job using my own car. Been driving autos ever since. I can imagine that. If you're doing it for a job and driving all over the place, I could see that. I don't know. I really enjoy driving manual. I remember learning to drive at, I don't know, 12, 13 years old, farm trucks, back roads, that sort of thing, driving tractors and all that. Yeah, I don't know. It just comes natural. MY Fun says, hi, Jeff. What's going on? Welcome. How are you doing this fine Wednesday? So just because I have this sitting here, yesterday I replaced the spark plugs on my vehicle. It's totally not guitar related. And these, I still can't wrap my head around the fact that these are designed to last 100,000 miles. The last time I changed these in this vehicle was in June of 2017. And I just changed them yesterday, 100,000 miles later. That's unbelievable. 100,000 miles. That this thing will last, what, 7 years on the same set of plugs. So that's the video I'm working on right now. Changing out these guys. Sorry, I wasn't trying to change the subject, but it was sitting there looking at me. But I can't imagine that. I mean, I have to. I mean, because they actually last that long. But still, 100,000 miles between plug changes. These are those iridium plugs. So that's wild. Hair Dude says, the Xiphos looks like a Jackson Warrior. Interesting. I'm going to have to look that up. Dallas says, I've been busy for living. LOL. I'm still working on the second build. I finished the rosette. Next step is gluing the top braces. Right on, Dallo. Yeah, you know how life, I know what you mean, life. Sometimes it slows us down and gets in the way, but it's all good. You just keep moving forward. That's what's cool about a project like that. It would be kind of cool. A project like that is, when you have time, you just work on it. You'll get there. Robert says, use the Xiphos type guitar as starting point for the 8-string baritone. Well, interesting, Robert. The 8-string baritone that I was talking about is more of an acoustic. But that'd be interesting. I gotta ponder. I gotta think about that one. Sam says, spark plugs. Absolutely shocking. Yes. Have you ever been shocked? Even on like a small engine? I don't recommend it. MY Fun says, I don't have any truss rod. Can't buy one because I live in Bangladesh and it's too expensive here. Planning to make one. So can you show me one if you have a two-way truss rod so I can make one? Yeah, absolutely. If you guys like talk amongst yourselves for a minute, because I'm gonna have to step away from the camera here. So hang on, let me go grab a truss rod. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll try to show you the best I can. I'll be right back. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. I'm coming back. I didn't leave you. Don't worry. Alrighty. Sam says run. And my fun says okay. All right. So I don't know how this is going to work, but hopefully it helps you somewhat. So what I have here is a two-way truss rod. I don't remember the length on this one. This is a 23-inch truss rod. This is, which one did I use this for? I don't even remember. So what I have here from this right there before the nut to the end is 23 inches. With the nut, and you can use different nuts. This is 24-inch long. So this overall length 24 inches on this particular one. Depending on what you're building the instrument for, you'll have to adjust the length accordingly. So up here at the adjustment end, we have, I don't know what angles you need to see. This is a 1/4-inch truss rod. It's 1/4-inch wide. We've got a 1/4-inch piece of flat bar here. And that is probably, it's probably 1/8 inch thick. That is an 1/8 inch thick by 1/4-inch wide flat bar on the top. Then down here, this is a piece of round stock. I'm guessing 3/16 maybe. Might be 1/4 inch. Can't quite tell. Might be 1/4 inch as well. Actually, I think it might be. Then there's a little block welded to the end of your flat bar that's threaded to accept the threaded end of the round stock. And then the nut is welded to the end of that. And exactly the same thing on the other side. I believe I don't know if one's reverse threaded or not. I don't think so. But it just has a block welded to the end and a block welded to this end with the adjustment nut. There's not a whole lot to it. So you turn this, it tightens each one. Is that reverse? I can't tell. Is one of these reverse threaded? Those of you that know, I don't know. This blue thing is really just I believe it's just a piece of shrink wrap that just covers the round bar, the round stock. So, I mean, there's not a whole lot to it. I don't know what all you really need to see, but. Robert says, it really is amazing how much more reliable today's car engines are. Back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, once you reach 80 to 100,000 miles, they were worn out. Yeah, I know. Isn't it crazy? Sam says in the UK, we would measure that in millimeters. What is that? 6 mil wide, 3 mil thick, roughly. These little blocks at the end are about 16 millimeters long, maybe 17, both ends. Sixteen millimeters long. I don't know what this thread would be. I don't know if it matters. Looks somewhere around a 1032-ish. That's just a guess. I have no idea. Now Paul says, ye old standard truss rod. Yep. Just your normal truss rod. Know Your Joe says, I believe it is reverse threaded. I think so. I just don't know which end is. So that one, so if you're going to turn this, I think this one has to be reverse threaded, right? I guess it probably doesn't matter. It's going to work either way. So that's going to back that. No, maybe they're not. That's going to back that out. That can't back out, so it's going to squish it. Maybe they're not reverse threaded. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. You might have to experiment. But hopefully, maybe it helps. And my fun says, okay, thank you. Yeah, will help me out a lot. Oh man, that's cool. I'm glad because I've not tried to make these, and so I haven't really looked at it too much. You got your flat bar here. This little block is just welded onto the end. You could just weld that in there. You can almost see the weld a little bit. Let me see if I can get that to focus. Probably not. Let me just, yeah. But there's a weld right there, right there. But there's really not a whole lot to it. So I think you can do it. You can make them. I know plenty of people do. It's just not something I've done. Robert says, are the blocks on the truss rod threaded? Yes. This block right here is threaded to accept this threaded end. This end of this round stock is threaded, and it's the same thread. So it screws in there, and it screws in up here. Here it says, most truss rods I've seen have been 1032, with very few as an M6. So that wasn't a bad guess, right? 1032. That's just what it looks like. After a while, you kind of develop that eye, even though my eyes are going. Used to work with a lot of that. The 6, 8, 10, 32, 12, 32, 24, all that sort of thing in the corporate world, because a lot of the equipment I used to work on had a lot of those small screws, so I dealt with them daily. Know Your Joe says they're reverse. Paul says, I make my truss rods, looks totally different from that one. Yeah, there are different styles. There's some that have, the T block thing at the end. There are different styles, but I don't know. This is the style that I use in different lengths, of course, but this is exactly what I use on precisely 100% of my builds. I've used this same style. Even though I've gotten them from a couple different places, they all have the blue, they all look exactly like this, and they all seem to take the same Allen head deal. So that's the one I use. But yeah, there's tons of different ones out there that I've seen. Robin says, I'm in the UK and wouldn't use centimeters, but I'm old. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not a huge fan of them myself, but I didn't grow up using them. So to each their own, right? I'm okay with either one. Know Your Joe says they have to either pull the threads towards each other or push them apart. Yes. Like a turnbuckle. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yes. Am I fun? Will it work if the back is welded instead of the threaded block? I don't think so, if I'm understanding, right? So if you weld this instead of thread it, then you have no way of turning this rod, if I'm understanding. And if I'm misunderstanding, my apologies. But if you just welded this end without threading the block, this would not turn. And you'd snap something, I think. Again, if I'm understanding correctly. But if you get the chance, maybe do some, look up some different styles. You might find some different styles of kind of a DIY truss rod that might work better than this. This is the only example that I have to go off of, right? So this is the only thing that I can compare to, because it's the only kind I use. Big Max Big Mac's Woodworking, what's going on? Big Mac says, what's up, Jeff? How's everything this fine day? Right on, Big Mac's. It's going good. Yeah, we're just here hanging out, talking about stuff like we do. We're doing great. Kind of a rainy look outside. I don't know if we're going to get rain today. We got a nice shower yesterday, which was welcomed. Things are going good. How are you doing? Right on. And my fun's, oh yeah, of course. Paul says, my truss rods have a circular gear with teeth that grip the wood. Really? I have not seen anything like that. That sounds interesting. Am I fun? Maybe look at some of that. Maybe it's, different. Just look at different options. Maybe you'll find something that maybe is either easier to make. Maybe it's easier to work with. I don't know. I'm just saying this is the only thing that I have to show you. So, let's see. Robert says, Sweet Tea uses the truss rod style that uses a spoke wheel type of adjustment. Yes. So basically, the only difference with those is this. It doesn't have this. It has a spoke wheel on there. That's the only difference in most cases. So if I actually have some spoke wheels, but I don't have a truss rod to put them on. Instead of welding this Allen adjuster on there, they would weld on or connect the spoke wheel to it. And I like the spoke wheels. I just don't use them. I don't know why. Paul says, gotta go, everyone. Have a great week. Right on, Paul. Have an awesome week, too. Robert says, I don't remember who I saw making a truss rod, but I'm sure there are a few YouTube videos showing how they are made. Yes, I agree. That's what I mean. Do a little looking around. I'm sure you can find some videos of some different ones, maybe just to get some different ideas. I don't know about you, but when I'm looking at doing a particular task, if I choose to do a little more in-depth research, I usually end up watching a bunch of videos, and I'll see different processes, different ways people do things. Sometimes I don't like to do that because I feel that it influences my process. Sometimes I like to just jump in, not really being sure, and I can figure things out on my own. But there are definitely times where I like to know my options, or know some options. And then sometimes I'll, follow along one of those paths, or sometimes I'll just use that as information to create a new road. Paul says, I'll send you pics. Right on. Know Your Joe says, technically only one side has to be threaded as long as the other end can spin and has a collar or a groove system that would allow the non-threaded end to be pulled or pushed. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Would that be a two-way, though? I think it might. Big Mac's Woodworking says, I'm doing good, just putting out these projects and staying pretty busy. My American flags are taking off, trying to figure out my CNC. I'm newbie on this, but we'll figure it out. LOL. Right on, Big Mac's. You know what? Is along the CNC route, yes, there's absolutely a learning curve. Sometimes, depending on your project, sometimes it can be significant. I got my CNC about a month and a half, about a year and a half ago, and it didn't take all that long, and I was able to start doing, some flat cuts. Oh, look at that. The UPS guy's here. We were talking about ordering parts earlier. Wonder what he's dropping off. Probably some parts for a project. But anyway, doing flat cuts really wasn't bad. But what really challenged me are these bass guitars that I've been working on that I just wrapped up last week. That was a challenge on another level. Just because I, first had to model the part in its entirety. Then I had to figure out how to take that model and reproduce it on the machine with part flips and, several different bits and pieces. And yeah, it was a challenge. But now that I've gotten through that process, man, I feel so much more comfortable, doing things on the CNC machine. So just keep at it. Sometimes it gets a little overwhelming and frustrating, because you're just like, oh, well, I want this work. Or, why did I break 36 different bits? And, whatever the thing is, just keep with it. You'll get it down. I know it does take time, but once you figure it out to where you get comfortable with it, other stuff you'll be like, it's a piece of cake. So yeah, don't let it discourage you. I know there was several times. I'm not saying you are discouraged or anything, but I just know that there were several times while I was working out things with this bass guitar where I'm just like, and then I figure out what's wrong, and we all learn from that sort of thing, and it's kind of a fun process. That being said, he might have been dropping off bits for the CNC because I got a couple projects that I want to tackle. I want to try some V-carve stuff, making some signs and things. That's one of the things that I have coming up. And speaking of CNC, so I want to experiment with that. The lettering and stuff where it's V-carved, and yeah, I think that'll be pretty cool. Something I'm gonna be doing here before long. Nair Joe says if it can be pulled or pushed, it would be two-way. Sam says, imagine making the world's smallest working electric guitar. It's tiny. MY Fun says, so it doesn't have to be threaded. Should be okay with it if it can spin. One side absolutely has to be threaded. Otherwise, you'd have no adjustment, I think. If you can, maybe just play around. Make up a few pieces that you can use as tests and just see how it works. Put something together and see what it does. If you have if you have some material you can spare to try to experiment with, because that's what I would want to do if I could. Just try some different ways and just see how things work. Big Mac says, I won't give up, but you're right. I don't want to break bits because those ain't cheap. Yes. I have broken several just working out this bass guitar, all the tool paths and everything. One thing that I did is I did get some cheap ones. I mean, like some cheap, Amazon bits. They have good ones on there that I also use, but I also have used some pretty inexpensive ones that I didn't have high expectations for, just because I figured I'd break them. And I did. I broke some, especially when it came down to cutting the fret slots with that super tiny end mill. Right now I'm using a .023 end mill to cut fret slots, but before I did that, I used I don't know, what were they, 0.5 millimeter or something, a little bit smaller than the 023s, and I broke 4 or 5 of them right off the bat, just trying to get the speeds and feeds right. And I didn't feel quite so bad because they weren't very expensive, but yeah, the bits, even if you buy not the main name brand ones, they're not cheap. I always try to go conservative. I know people that will just, when they're working out a new product or a new cut or something, they'll run the machine as fast as they can until they break a bit and then back it off. I'm like, I'd rather go the other way because I don't even want to break one. Big Mac says, that's what I'm working on, the V-carve. Okay. I don't think you'll break a V-bit. I mean, unless you get absolutely crazy. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like a V-carving now is not going to be all that bad. I haven't done it yet. I do have files ready, but I haven't actually made the cuts because I don't have a V-bit. Well, maybe I do now. Maybe the guy brought it. Big Mac says, I want to be able to do the stars on the unions. Yes, that would be cool. Do the stars with a V-bit. You got it. You can do it. That's going to be awesome. And my fun says, make a grand piano. Like, why not? Yeah, why not? We'll just slap it together. That would be pretty cool, but I don't have room for it, both to build and to put in the house. Oh, let's see. Dallas says, I still break some bits. For me, most of them are wrong set of box point. I'll repeat the same mistake. Yeah, it is a drag, right? It's a drag when you break a bit. I goofed up something one time and I ran a brand new bit right into one of my hold downs in the bolt and just snapped it right off. It was brand new. I don't know what they were, $12 or $15 for a bit, or maybe more. I don't remember, but it's almost heartbreaking. But I almost think it's kind of like a rite of passage, right? You got to break bits before you can get good at some of this stuff, or get comfortable with some of this stuff. Anyway, well, guys, we're at an hour and 15 minutes. I think we're gonna wrap this up here, and I gotta get to editing and see what the UPS man brought. I hope they're bits, because I want to try some V carving. So yeah, we're gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna get back to work around here, and I want to say thank you to you guys for coming in, hanging out, and making these live streams the fun time that they are. It's the highlight of my week, almost, where I get to hang out with all of you, and we just get to talk shop, talk projects, and guitars, and breaking bits, and all the stuff that we talk about. That's what makes it so fun. It's never a fixed thing, right? It's kind of like a live Q&A almost. And but anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Let's see here. Know Your Joe says, I need a CNC router mill, CNC lathe, welders, plasma cutter, and a 3D printer. Yeah, that sounds like quite the setup. Sam says, thanks for this fantastic stream today, Jeff. Drissy Guitars says, cheers. Big Mac says, you have a great day, brother. Am I fun? A request I want to make before you go? Yes. Am I fun? What is your request? Sam says, be safe, everyone. Harry Dude says, see you all next week. Stay well. Dallas says, have a great week. Robert says, everyone stay safe, healthy. Have a good one. Don't forget to like. Oh, yeah. Hit that thumbs up button before you tune out of here. MY Fun says, can you make a video making guitar binding out of wood? I will add that to the list. I think I've covered some of it. Maybe not. Yes, we can do that on the next, when I need to make some. I will absolutely do a video. Yeah, not a problem. Robin says, thanks. Sam, don't forget to hit the like. Right on, guys. Thank you again. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And I hope you can all get out into your shops, build some stuff, fix some things, do some stuff with your hands, get outside, fresh air, all that stuff that is so good for you. Hope you all get to do that. Have an awesome week. And until next time, which will be next Wednesday, same place. Have an awesome one, everybody. We'll see you next time. Take care, everyone. Thank you.